So kicking off, what we're going to talk about today is the Android Enterprise Partner Program. So I'll spend the first 20 minutes talking about what the program is, and then I'm going to hand over to Nikki, who will show you through some of the slides, or I guess some of the portal interface. And a couple of people have been confused about where to go and how to get in, and having sort of login issues or not getting into the right part of the community. So we'll try and demystify that for you. And then we can sort of take any questions on that, and then I'll hand over from Nikki then on to more of talking about our experts program. So a lot of people have been wondering about, like, when is experts coming? They've heard about it, but not quite sure what it is, and there's plenty of training to do to get ready for it. So Nikki's going to take you through what's required. So the Android Enterprise Partner Program, we are here basically to help you drive your business. And we can only do that through like an all-encompassing portal. So the partner program for the first time is like a program for all partner types, and it gives you access to lots of different resources and community forums. It's going to help our team scale across all of Asia Pacific. Before I jump in, I forgot to mention, we've got on this call Nikki Mertsios, who's based in Melbourne. He looks after Australia and New Zealand training. We've got Andre Awanto, who joined us some time ago, early in the year, based in Singapore, spent a long time at Samsung, actually taught me everything I know about Knox, because he was the regional Knox engineer. And we've got Tomoko, who's sitting in on our session here. Tomoko joined us recently in Tokyo, looks after our partners in Japan and North Asia. So the partner program, that's a small team that you're talking to, I guess, essentially to the entire APAC team, really. So this is why the program's around. It gives you access to lots of resources. Sometimes there were things there, but if you didn't know the URL, you couldn't find it. We're trying to centralize everything to be accessed from within the portal. So being able to sign into Academy and the Partner Marketing Hub, you can do that right from the portal. You can connect with peers. So we have some discussion forums that are across all partner types that allow you to interface with other people in the community across the globe. And you'll also get recognition if you do the right level of training and meet the technical requirements for these programs. You'll end up in our solution directory. So the partner portal is essentially self-service, and this is the other thing about it. It really removes all the manual efforts that need to be done by individual Googlers, either via email or by phone call, to need to actually drive things through for you. It's a self-service portal, so we would hope that it becomes intuitive enough for you to learn how to access it, to be able to get in there and register for the various different programs, do the training, meet the validation requirements, and do all that without really needing to reach out to us directly. Even when you've got sales opportunities, you'll be able to go in there and find the right resources that are going to help you win that deal, including getting technical support down the track once you've qualified for the technical programs like experts. You'll also see all of our latest news and resources. So we would encourage you to opt in for communications, because we can't really contact you via this portal if you have opted out of marketing communications. We're not really going to spam you with lots of useless stuff. We're going to send you stuff that's very important for you. If you're an enterprise partner running Android, you need to know about this sort of stuff. So we send out a regular newsletter, and we'll make all sorts of different community posts, like letting you know things like our recent Zero Touch updates, which we'll talk about in a moment, where all Android 9 devices have got Zero Touch as of this month. So that sort of stuff you'll hear about by being opted into communications. You also get access to the Academy. The benefit of running Academy from within this Android Enterprise Partner Portal is, for the first time, your records will actually be associated to your company, and your company administrator, which we call a primary contact, will be able to see those completions, and they will count towards your validation as a partner. Plus all the documentation you need, like the contracts and all the onboarding documentation, is inside of this portal. So once you get in there, you'll see there's a number of different communities. There's a community for each type of provider, and I'll talk about where we're at in terms of opening up access globally to everyone. At the moment, we are offering these communities to the device resellers and the service providers. And later in the year, we're hoping to open it up to EMMs and device manufacturers. So if you're a Mobileye or a VMware person, or you're an Oppo or a Samsung person in the region at the moment, you can join our landing page for the portal. So please do register. You just can't get to the community yet, but the community is an extra step where inside of that community, that is where You will have things like forums. You'll get access to further technical guides and integration guides. You'll be able to escalate technical issues to our head office teams. So at the moment, that's available to device resellers and service providers, and it's coming soon for EMM and device manufacturers, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So what else is required? Well, you need to gain recognition by fulfilling our validation requirements. You won't end up in our solution directory unless you've done this. So you need to meet our criteria, which I'll talk about. What does each partner need to do? It's different by partner type. You'll then get a badge, which you can use in your own website, and you'll appear in our solution directory. So let's talk about the individual programs here. So for device reseller, if you were a zero-touch reseller in the past and you're already in our solution catalog, we're changing that program, and this is a successor to that program. And at a certain point in time, we haven't decided when, if you have not migrated into the device reseller program and met all of your requirements, you're going to be at risk of actually losing access to zero touch. So we would encourage everyone, including our longest partners in there that have been doing zero touch, if you have not migrated into this community and have not, for example, trained all of your mobility and sales and technical staff up to a level of 40% of them, having done training, and you haven't implemented, so we would have implemented zero touch, but if you haven't also done a go-to-market plans, then essentially you're at risk of us saying, well, we're going to remove the zero touch from your access. So it's really important that we sent a bunch of emails out to all existing resellers around sort of the April timeframe. That probably went to the person who was the point of contact last year. That may have changed. So please contact us if you're an existing reseller and you haven't been told to join the device reseller program, because it's really important that you move through and do that. Where do we get the 40% from? We get that 40% from the questionnaire we send you. It asks you how many sales and technical staff do you have. So if you've got 10, then 4 people need to be accredited. And then if you can, if you're not already a zero-touch reseller, as long as you sell devices, then you can apply to this program. So for anyone who's new, it's not for service providers who don't sell devices. Those service providers are really acting as a customer when it comes to zero-touch. You must be someone who sells devices. So you'll see that when you apply to the device reseller program, it'll ask you what devices do you sell and who do you buy them from, how many do you sell. We ask those questions to validate that you are actually selling devices. Well, I've got an email address down the bottom there as well. We're getting a lot of stuff coming to Nikki and I. As I mentioned, hopefully this is all self-service. If it's not, please direct your emails to the community. A case will get opened automatically when you send an email. Send it to ae-community@google.com. And if you've got questions like, I don't understand the email, I can't log into the portal, I'm not sure which training I should be doing, I didn't get the questionnaire, or I didn't receive the contract, any of those sort of questions, they're the commonly asked questions, just drop an email to ae-community@google.com and give them a few days. They're in London, and it may take 4 or 5 days for them to get back to you. But if you don't hear back, certainly escalate to us. But please try that in the first instance. If you're already in the community, there's also a device reseller forum in there, and have a look through there and see if you've got any of the answers to your questions in there first before you drop us an email. For service provider, that is for system integrators, essentially providing mobility services, as the name suggests. So it's got a slightly higher requirement for sales readiness. So you must have 60% of your sales and technical staff qualified. You must also have 3 experts. So if you don't have 3 people that are doing technical deployments, then you're probably not going to qualify for this, because you're going to need 3 experts. If you've got 3, then all 3 need to be qualified. If you've got 100, as some people probably do, then you really still only need 3 of those. So it's that's what it's aimed at. The proven customer impact means that you must have deployed Android Enterprise in some significant deployments. We did have it at 1,000 seats, but we negotiated to lower that to 500. That still may qualify out some smaller organizations in Australia that may have lots of deployments, but they're all smaller. We're doing this because if we're going to give you a badge and give you, and recommend customers to you, you must have demonstrated you've done this a number of times. When you nominate those customers, they get an email from us saying, can you please confirm that this service provider did deploy Android Enterprise for you? Not device admin, not the old way of deploying stuff, not devices that aren't running any management. They must be running Android Enterprise, and you must have done it for them, and they must be deployed already, not I've deployed 50 at a pilot and they're going to do another 500 next year. They must have done the 500. So that's a requirement there. And then if you've got questions, there's another team looking after the questions for service provider, and it's sp-aep@google.com. EMM developers. So I mentioned that EMMs and OEMs currently don't have full access to the portals, because you can't, if you're an employee in this region, you can't get access into those into that community just yet. We are planning to, but an EMM developer is essentially, most of you are already going to see it already in our solution catalog. They've already demonstrated that they are able to deploy Android Enterprise in their product. They've tested it. They've shown that to us with videos, and they've also made a commitment around their customer impact. They've done us a go-to-market plan. Those partners are actually already in our EMM directory, and that's the process for you to essentially apply if you're an ISV that writes an EMM platform. For the employees of those EMM developers, the VMwares, Mobileye, Saudis, Microsofts, etc., I've got another slide on that which will show you in terms of what you can do today until such time as we open up access to everyone else. For device manufacturers, they typically don't come to our team the first time because they're already applied to the broader Google team for what we call a GMS license. So as you know, Android Enterprise, or hopefully you know, Android Enterprise is part of GMS. Some of it's in open source, but a lot of the components that you need to run Android Enterprise are inside of GMS, which stands for Google Mobile Services. To get that, you need to apply to Google. There's a public page where you can say, look, I've got some devices, I've got some silicon, I've got some, I've got a supplier of hardware, I've got a factory, I'm going to build devices. You apply for a license, and from an Android Enterprise point of view, there are a bunch of tests they need to do to confirm that the things work, the work profile and this sort of stuff. Once that happens, then they will get access to be able to promote that they've got Android Enterprise compatibility. So for the moment, for JAPAC, until we open up access to those two communities, at the moment the EMM community and the OEM community are there to help the head office of those OEMs and EMMs integrate their product and launch their device or launch their EMM solution or answer questions about any of our technical features. It's not really yet designed for the sales and technical staff in our region. But what you can do is you can join the landing page. So when you go to the page that we're referring it to, which is androidenterprise.com, so android.com/enterprise/partners. On there, you can sign into the portal and you can sign up. You just can't apply to the community. But once you're inside of that portal, you still have access to the Android Academy, and you have access to all of our knowledge resources and also to our marketing hub. What we would ask you to do is all OEMs and all EMMs should be promoting this Android Enterprise Partner Program to your reseller channel. So if you've got device resellers out there selling Samsung or Zebra devices, or you've got resellers out there selling Intune and Mobileye and VMware Workspace ONE, then please recommend that they join up, because it's going to help you help us, and it really helps you as well because they're more informed about Android Enterprise. So I'll move along. So the journey to differentiation, join the partner program. So when you go to the landing page on our website and it says sign up, fill in those details. You'll be sent an NDA. You'll also be sent a questionnaire. That questionnaire will ask you, I guess, some profiling questions, including how many employees you have, so we can set your training target. You'll then get the validation requirements sent out to you, so it'll tell you these are the things you need to do. When you log into the portal, essentially the first person logs in as is the primary contact. They are the ones that see these are all the validation requirements I need to fulfill. You'll see a little dashboard inside of the community, which Nicky will show you when he does a demonstration. Once you're in there, you just need to step through and make sure that you are fulfilling all those requirements. If there are other people in your organization, you want to act as your primary contact as well. Let's say you're a larger organization. Gordo, you may work for one of those. You can delegate those primary contacts out to other business unit leads so that they can add their own team. You can also bulk upload employees into the portal so that you can have the entire organization inside of our portal if you wish. Once you meet all those requirements, the training, the deployments, for example, having the experts, then you'll end up in our solution directory, and we then would hope that you go out there and promote that to your customers and do some go-to-market campaigns with us using the resources in the Partner Marketing Hub. So a few little FAQs and common issues we've been getting. First up is people just not receiving our emails. Please do check your junk mail and spam mail just in case you've missed out emails, because it's not coming from Nikki and I, so it's not in your frequently emailed contacts. It'll come from an email address called ae-community-no-rep for no reply at google.com. Our contracts are sent out from another email address. It comes out of one of our contract management systems. So it's mocha, moca-contract.google.com. And if your primary contact leaves, they'd be the ones that are getting these emails about the program. So if there's been a change of staff, in the last few months, then please let us know, because it's probably we're probably finding those emails are going to the wrong person. We would recommend you invite as many people in your organization as possible, and as I mentioned, you can do a bulk upload. Academy, if you bookmark the old, googlepartnertraining.com URL, can I recommend you delete that bookmark and please go in via the Android Enterprise Partner Portal instead, and make sure that you can sign in there with your single sign-on under your corporate account, like your current work email address, which hopefully you've associated as being a Google account. You can then go into Academy, and Nikki will take you through a little quick demo when I hand over how to import your previous records, including if you've done them under your old Gmail account. You can make sure that they're associated to your company account. That way, your organization gets the benefit of having your records account towards their validation. As I mentioned before, existing zero-touch resale is really important over the next few months. You try and get into this program. So look out for the emails that were sent back in April, or contact us if you didn't get them. Don't apply to the community more than once. It's a little bit confusing. Apply to community is something we probably all do. It's really only designed for the first person, the primary contact. They can then add you into the community afterwards. There's no need for every employee to reapply, because it's like filling in an application form to join you as an organization, not as an employee. So just be careful of not sending in multiple requests, because they'll be rejected, and it might appear to be a little bit strange as to why you were rejected. And then, as I mentioned, you can associate additional primary contacts if you wish to. It's possible for you to join multiple communities. So some organizations sell devices and provide services. Others just provide services. So you can join both if you wish to, or you can join one or the other. But if you don't sell devices, then you are not compatible with our device reseller program. Before I hand over Nikki, I want to talk about a device loan program. We are trying to get some funding to bring back from our retail stores all of the Pixel 4s that were in retail store display, and along with some older stock Pixel, going back to Pixel 1. They all run Android 10 on the Pixel 1, and they all run Android 11 from Pixel 2. So they're secondhand, but if we can get access to those, we're looking at trying to centralize those into a provider to help us get them out to partners as a way of giving you an extra device for demo purposes. So being able to run it up with zero touch, or run up a work profile, or do it with different use cases, different EMM products, without you having to use your primary device. Because as much as we try and tell you how great Android is, I know some people out there prefer a certain other fruity company as their primary device. This gives you the ability to run a dedicated demo device and show your customers and really help you learn the products, particularly if you're an engineer going through the experts training. You're really going to need access to devices. So if you're interested, please QR code scan that survey and register your interest, or jump on that URL there. We'll flash it up again later on. And once we've got your interest levels, I can go back and sort of try and get some funding for this to get those devices repurposed for use by you as a demo. Before I hand over to Nikki, is there any questions that have come up? I'm looking, so I see the chat window's popped up with a few. Okay, Ivan, good point there. Sometimes signing into the portal is difficult when you've got Microsoft accounts. Yeah, so we would always recommend being on Google Chrome as a browser and having an incognito tab, just to make sure that sometimes cookies do a funny thing. So that always helps. Quacklay, yeah. The learning path status will update from Academy, but we just need to go through and make sure they're imported. So yes, that's a common question, and we'll get Nikki to show you that. Any other questions before I hand over to Nikki to do a quick demo and take you through the experts?
Yes, Jared, it's Ari here. How long is the response that we get from the loan device? I submitted last week. I haven't got any response email saying that, yeah, we're looking at it and things like that.
Oh yeah, so that's just a registration. That's just a survey. It's not to get the device yet. So I haven't. This program may or may not get funding. We're asking for it. The devices need to be restaged. They need to be cleaned and wiped and then sent back out. So if I get approval, we will be in touch. But the survey is just so I can use it as part of our business case. So no guarantees, but fingers crossed. So there's physically devices, but as you know, it's at the moment it's a little bit hard with logistics for things. So we need to outsource that. So stay tuned on that. But thanks for the question.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
There's one. Has the minimum number of AE experts required to be an AE MSP reduced to 3? The solutions directory still says 4.
Yeah, so that's actually on the website. That's actually about AER, not AEP. So Android Enterprise Recommended was for our global, larger Android Enterprise Recommended partners. This program is new and it's more scalable for, I guess, the rest of the partners in the world that aren't as large as like a Cognizant or Economon in Europe or DXC who've got thousands of employees. So it is 3. So yes, it's not incorrect. It's just that AER is a different program. Well, we're almost spot on my half an hour, so it was good timing. So I'll stop presenting now and I'll hand over to Nikki. Thank you.
All right, let me get this one up. So I'll first run through the partner portal itself, and we'll go through exactly a lot of the topics that Jared discussed in terms of adding primary contacts, etc. And then from there, we'll quickly jump over and we'll talk about the labs themselves. All right, perfect. You should all be able to see this one now. So this is the landing page when you first log into the partner portal. This is the area that everyone will have access to, regardless of if you're in a community or not. And this is the area where you'll be able to access the latest news, resources. You'll also be able to navigate your way into your community. You also have access to the Android Academy and the Partner Marketing Hub as well. Now, in terms of those primary contacts who are driving the validation for their organization, when you log into a particular community, as an example, I'm logged into the device reseller community, you'll be able to see on the right-hand side the validation requirements, and the ones that are not ticked are the ones that are outstanding for your organization. Now, first things first, if you wanted to get an understanding in terms of what each of these requirements are and all the steps that you need to take to get yourself validated for all the communities, you'll be able to access via this URL here, what we call the onboarding playbook. So from here, you'll actually be able to download the onboarding playbook, and this will walk you through all the steps. And more than likely, you'll find out that a lot of questions that you may have will probably be answered in the onboarding playbook. Now, in terms of academy training for your organization is a requirement for both device reseller and service provider communities. And this is where you can see your organization's overall progress in terms of completing associate and professional and zero-touch modules. Now, the number itself will only increase for those members that you've invited into your community. So if you have staff that have completed training earlier in the year and they have not been invited into the device reseller or service provider community, their training will not count towards your overall completion. So if I click on here, this should take me into my organization's training requirements. So I need 10 people in my organization trained up on the associate, and I need 5 people trained up on the professional learning path. This is how you can see and validate who has completed what training within your organization as well. Now, in terms of accessing the ability to be able to invite your staff into the community, as well as add additional primary contacts, this is done up the top here by selecting My Company. And from within here, this is where you'll be able to add your additional primary contacts or just contacts in terms of additional staff getting access to the community. So you've got two options to do so. You can add, if you need to add just one contact as an example, you can do so by just filling out the information here. If you want them to be a primary contact, you can tick this box here. Alternatively, as Jared mentioned, there is now a bulk add contacts with template option that we've added. So you can download the template, fill out the required information and upload this, and this will bulk add your staff into your community as well. So based on this, does anyone have any questions? Is there anything that you want me to jump into? I'll talk about Academy in just a moment. Is there anything that you'd like us to address now while we've got everyone here? Awesome. All right, so I'll quickly jump now into Academy. So I'll continue using this account and single sign on directly into Academy itself. So Academy is where all of our e-learning modules are available for Android Enterprise, and this is where your staff will need to complete the training required. And then in turn, that data will then feed back into the portal itself for the primary contacts so that you can complete the validation requirements. Now, the training modules themselves start off with Associate. Once you've completed Associate, you'll be able to continue on to Professional and so on. Now, many of you may have completed Associate and Professional in the past, and you'd like to import those completions into your corporate account here. The way to do that is by selecting your profile in the top right. And then under Achievements here, there is an Import Completions option. Now, there are two options available for importing your prior learnings. The first is if your email address that's listed here matches the same email address that you used in the past that contains your completions, you can just press import. We'll match the email, find the completions, import them automatically. Alternatively, you may have used a different Google account in the past that contains your associate and professional completions. And that is where you use the add verified email option. They'll ask you to sign into that account. Once we've verified that you are the owner of that account, we'll then import your completions automatically. That will then appear and you'll be able to then continue on with the remaining modules. So any questions on that? Has anyone had any issues? More than happy to sort of address those. If you have come across any issues with importing completions, best bet would be to let us know. We can take a look from our end to see where the fault is. It may be that it's just a wrong email account and you believed it was this particular Google account. It turns out it wasn't. Or there may genuinely be an issue with importing. Feel free to let us know. There is another thing to note. We'll be pushing a change soon to the partner portal. So for those primary contacts, if you notice that these completions from your staff are not appearing in the reporting, that will be fixed shortly in the coming weeks. We'll let you all know. You'll be able to see that via the partner portal. We'll let you know, and then the numbers themselves will change. You'll be able to continue proceeding with your validation requirements. All right, so I'm going to quickly switch over to the labs now, so give me one moment.
Yeah, so while Nicky's bringing that up, essentially, as you probably know, earlier in the year we had to run experts on site for exams, and we started with that in Melbourne, and then obviously COVID hit, so we were not able to run experts exams physically. So we're in the process now of moving experts into the Android Academy platform so we can do it remotely. But between now and then, we sort of remind you of, because we haven't really externally pushed experts so hard because of the limitations of being able to run the exams. But now that we can, we sort of really want to make sure that you're up to speed with what you need to do to get ready, so that you first attempt that you have, that you actually pass the exam, because it is a 2-hour exam, so we want to make sure you're best prepared. So over to Nikki.
Yeah, precisely. So that's exactly what our goal is, and that's what we've gone and introduced regionally here. First is what we're calling the 2 labs, the Architecture and Implementation Lab and the Support Engineer Lab. Now, this is all to prepare you for experts. And if you haven't already, scan that barcode. I also posted the link in chat. Just give us an idea on where you think you are at in terms of experts. It's going to give us a good idea on how well prepared the region is. I'll also provide a post feedback form at the end, just to see how you all feel with what we're proposing for the region in terms of making sure that you guys are best prepared for experts. So on that, experts themselves is only going to be accessible for those who have signed up to the partner portal. So everything that Jared had mentioned before, the partner portal that I'd shown you, you're going to have to make sure that your staff, and including your organization, is signed up for the partner portal. The only way that you're going to be able to nominate somebody for experts is when they're in the partner portal and in your community. The other side to this as well is Academy. Experts does have prerequisites, and we'll walk through those prerequisites, but many of those are the completions, are completing the modules in Academy: Associate Professional, Architecture Implementation, and Support Engineer. So please make sure that you access Academy via the partner portal. For those who had that direct URL to Academy before, please refrain from using that and log into it like you'd seen me just do earlier via the partner portal, single sign-on directly in. Again, just to reiterate, you can import your completions. You do have those 2 methods like I walked you through on the portal. If you do have any issues or having any problems, feel free to let us know. Now, in terms of the modules that are available in Academy, first of all, everyone who's a part of the partner portal, we expect you all to at least sit the associate and in turn the professional. It gives you a very good understanding of the Android Enterprise ecosystem and Android Enterprise as a whole. For those who are going to be sitting the experts exam, we ask that you sit the Architecture, Implementation, and Support Engineer modules on top of the Associate and Professional. All of these that you see here are the prerequisites for the Experts Validation exam. You can be nominated for experts, but you will not be able to sit the exam unless you have completed all of these modules. It won't be possible. So make sure that you are signing in via AEP, that your account is syncing to your organization, so that we on our end can see that you have completed those Academy modules and in turn give you the ability to sit the experts exam. Now, what is the experts validation exam? Well, the experts validation exam is designed to recognize the skilled mobility professionals. And for those of you who do pass the exam, you'll be given what we call the experts badge and also be given access to the experts community. So with that access, you'll have the technical know-how based on a lot of the Academy training to raise support tickets directly with Google. Now, if you're looking at, as a primary contact, who in your organization should fit these requirements, look at the people who have several years of mobility, deployment, and consulting experience. Keep in mind that those people you do nominate will need to complete those Academy modules, and they'll need at least proficiency in one featured EMM. Now, in terms of the objectives for the lab, so we ran some exams at the start of the year, and we gathered a little bit of feedback. And some of this feedback is that we want to make sure that our region is best prepared to pass the exam. So this is where we introduced the labs themselves. So these labs are designed to take you through the practical aspect of the architecture and implementation and support engineer modules. You do sit through the e-learning modules, and we do discuss many things within those modules around configuring devices and utilizing the EMM, and actually ask you to kind of do exactly that as you walk through the modules. But we've gone a step further with these labs and actually outlined all of those steps so that you can physically sit through using your preferred EMM, or we've also got the Android management experience to actually take that e-learning module and put it into practice. Now, the labs themselves contain links to all the important documentation and resources that you will need. And the labs themselves will also mean that you can practice this at any time. You can reference these resources at any time after the exam as well. So they're also a good thing to have on the side. Now, in terms of equipment for taking these exams, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to need an Android test device, and I'll reiterate test device because you will be required to wipe your device several times throughout the labs. So the last thing you want to do is put your personal device up and in turn not be able to wipe that one. Now, if you don't have any test devices, we recommend, first of all, reaching out to your OEM partner and seeing if they have some sample devices that you could borrow while you're taking the exam. Alternatively, as Jared had mentioned before, we're looking at the device loan program. So keep an eye out for that as well. The other thing that you'll need is an Android enterprise supported EMM and the Android management experience. So we'll provide the Android management experience, but you will need access to a supported EMM. Now, if you don't have a test instance for your preferred EMM, then I would reach out again to your EMM partner to obtain some demo credentials. Now, what is in the actual architecture and implementation lab? Well, first of all, we're going to put you through understanding Android Enterprise. So we're going to walk you through the OS side of things as well as Android security. We're also going to take a look at a variety of use cases. On top of that, utilizing the EMM policy, identity, and provisioning. And we'll also take a look at devices and AER requirements. Now, a very common one, Manage Google Play. We'll make sure that you understand Manage Google Play and the different options in terms of accounts, as an example. And we'll also look at configuring devices with Wi-Fi, VPN certificates, etc. So many of the practical aspects of many EMM deployments with Android Enterprise is what the Architecture and Implementation Lab is going to walk you through. From a provisioning perspective, we're going to look at NFC bump, DPC identify, QR code, and zero touch. Now, we understand that not everybody has access to zero touch. So within the lab, there's a form where you can request your test device to be added into zero touch. And our team from our side will get that test device added into zero touch. But please do not use this test form for anything other than the labs. It's not to be used for customer productions or anything like that. Now, with the zero touch, we'll also make sure that you have an understanding of the zero touch console, and in turn being able to deploy different zero touch DPC identifiers. So this puts into practice the Manage Google Play aspect, the work profile, the BYOD type configuration, as well as the configuring of fully managed devices with work profile as well. We'll look at silent app installs, work profile security challenges, unknown sources, and verify applications, and much more that you'll see within the labs as you walk through them. Now, in terms of the support engineer lab, this is the more technical lab. And again, in turn, it is the last module available in Academy. And this is where we'll get you to take a look at Google's troubleshooting process and methodology. Now, using that troubleshooting process and methodology, we're going to put you through how to apply that in various use cases, understanding how to read device logs, and in turn being able to analyze a device. Now, being armed with a lot of that information, we're going to help you try to spot issues and find your own solutions. And we'll also provide some additional resources within the labs document. Now, for this troubleshooting, we're going to walk you through how to use a lot of these tools themselves to be able to gather logs, etc. So one of the first things we'll look at is the Android management experience. Now, following that, we'll look at the Colab tool. This is going to get you hands-on with the Android management API. So where you'll be able to essentially act as an EMM, configure yourself as an EMM, and enroll your device as well. And the application that we'll use is our Test DPC application. So you can try all Android enterprise configurations using these tools. This is going to put into practice configuring a variety of policies and device restrictions, deploying applications with Managed Google Play, enrolling a device into the Android management experience using that Test DPC and using DPC identifier, creating a Colab project, and within Colab being able to configure policies manually and deploy and test your device. And last of all, being able to gather and read logs using Android Debug Bridge. So now a lot of these tools are tools that you haven't had experience on, but are going to be covered in the experts exam. So we want to make sure that you are armed via both of these labs, putting into practice everything that you'd expect to see from the experts exam.
So a couple of points there. It's a really good overview, Nikki. And I mean, why is this important? First up, why it's important is it's not important to us. It's important to you because your customers, right? So if you can't support your customers, then it's going to impact on them. So the benefit of doing this training and actually doing the labs, because you can go through and do those two courses, the additional courses, architecture implementation and support engineer. You can say, oh yeah, next, yes, I went and did this, yeah, because it asks you to do the labs, or it asks you to test this. You can say next and not do it, but then if you don't have the skills, then you're not going to be able to support your customers. Then if you do happen to then do the experts exam, if you haven't practiced this stuff, you're probably not going to pass the first time. And I can tell you there's been a reasonably high failure rate of this. So people that have been doing mobility for 20 years are sitting down this exam and thinking they've got all the knowledge, and they actually haven't, because they've not read all of our documentation. They haven't tested this stuff. They're not familiar with our current terminology, and they're just going off what they know, and it's not the updated stuff. So it's really important that you do this. The other thing when it comes to supporting customers is, even if you pass experts, if you submit something through to your EMM vendor and it turns out that it's actually an OEM issue, or vice versa, because you haven't been able to diagnose that by using these tools, particularly in the support engineer, allow you to troubleshoot much better and isolate where that issue is, so you log it with the right partner. And if it does happen to end up at Google and it gets escalated by, say, Samsung to us, or by VMware or Mobileye up to us, if it does go to us, the first thing we're going to ask for is a bug report, and in most cases. And if you haven't got that, it may have taken you weeks to finally get to a Google engineer at level 3, level 4 support, and then all of a sudden we go back to square one. So it's really, I can't stress enough the importance of you taking this seriously, doing all the online modules, downloading these labs, getting your EMM environments, getting the devices, playing with it, testing all these tools, particularly the support engineer. Andre spent a few weeks building those materials for you. They're all step-by-step. They're really easy to follow. Please follow it, because it's going to help you. And most importantly, as I mentioned, it's going to help your customer.
Yeah, as Jared mentioned, the logs, we can't stress enough. No matter where you turn in the Android enterprise ecosystem, whether it be EMM, OEM, or Google, we're going to be asking for logs. So if you're able to provide them immediately, and you've been prepared with that knowledge, you'll be able to speed up your process and our process in terms of supporting and identifying an issue. So in terms of next steps, make sure again that you are signed up to the partner portal so you can access Academy, so you can complete those modules, and that these labs in turn make sense. Now, those labs were sent out to everybody via email. Now, I know many of you may be attending because you may have been forwarded a calendar invite, etc. So reach out to whoever forwarded you that invite and ask them for the labs. It's 2 PDF documents we've provided, and all the information you require are in those documents. So like I mentioned at the start, we do have a post feedback form. If you could scan that as well, I'll post the link in chat. And while you're doing that, we'll open up for questions again. Based on anything we've covered since the start, labs, anything, feel free to ask in chat or speak up.
Yeah, so if you're interested, we can send out these 2 presentations, and that's got, I guess, a lot of the links in there, including the email aliases to send your onboarding questions to. So yeah, who's anyone got questions? I said we had 80 odd people on the call, so that's awesome. So hopefully we've got another 86 people completing all their training next week and validating a whole bunch of new organizations into our program.
Might be looking pretty good on questions.
We'll not just give it another minute, and if there's no questions coming through, we will wrap it up. Yep, someone unknown. We'll send it to an unknown email address. No, that's all right. We'll send it. We'll send it out. We'll send it out a reply to the invite, if you like, and with the slides. And when I get the recording done, if you go to our Android Academy page, let me just bring up the URL for that. If you
hey, Jared, for me, Jared, if you can send the presentation deck to us, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is Chu here.
Yes, no worries, Chu.
Thanks. Good one. Thanks, Nikki, as well.
Thank you.
Hey,
Chu.
Gerard and Nikki. Hey, this is JJ. Just checking. You guys might have answered. I joined a little bit late. I've got a couple of new starters in the region who haven't yet been through associate or professional. Is there a pathway to expert to actually do that first? I mean, they're quite keen to scale up on the Android enterprise side. So, well, what's my best pathway there for those types of new SEs that I've got in my team?
Yes, it's a good question, Jojo. And yeah, you're right. It is a pathway, and you have to start with associates, even though they probably will know all that stuff inside out. But those, unfortunately, what happens is as you go through the academy, it doesn't unlock the next course until you've completed the prerequisite.
That's cool. Yeah. No, that's fun. It's probably a good program for them to go through anyway. So that's all good. Thank you. I'll get that done. That's cool. Thank you.
Okay, question there from Phil. I've tried in the past to enroll as a device reseller to get access to Zero Touch. Okay, so first up, they will ask questions to profile your organization to know that you actually physically sell devices. So if you're not the actual reseller, as an example, and particularly they will go and look at your URL and they'll go to your website and they'll have a look on your website to sort of see that you're the type of organization that promotes that you're selling devices. So if it's not on your website, it doesn't give us a lot of evidence that you do sell devices. So you can send an email to the email address we mentioned before, which was for the device reseller community. You can send it to ae-community@google.com and just say, look, this is the case that we had before and it was rejected, and make sure you provide some additional evidence that you sell devices. The reason we don't allow people who don't sell devices to have access to it is because you don't need to. And we would want to make sure that the organizations, the customers out there that are buying devices, deal with an authorized reseller that they buy the devices from in the first place, because they are the only ones that know that IMEI number or that Wi-Fi address or MAC address for the Wi-Fi only devices is the correct one, because they've got it from from the OEM and the distributor, and that you as a customer own the device because you've paid for it and you have title to it. You can imagine that all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff can happen if someone transposes the wrong IMEI number, and some random device in the world that may end up in the hands of a consumer, they turn it on and they say, welcome to New South Wales Police, you've been managed by Intune, as an example. So that's not what we want to have. So that's why we do restrict the device reseller program to people that sell device for the validity of the information that's been uploaded, the accurateness of the program and the reliability of it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be something we can control. If you are the service provider and your customer saying, look, I want your help with Zero Touch, just make sure the customer has bought their device from a Zero Touch reseller to start with, and if they haven't, they need to find one. And then secondly, you can certainly log into the Zero Touch portal as the customer, but you don't need to you won't be able to log in as reseller. So if you want to be helping them create their EMM configurations or assigning them the devices and whatever else, and you want to perform a managed service, that's well and good. But unless you're selling the devices, you are not a device reseller. So Phil, I hope that answers your question, and feel free to drop an email to the AE community email address if you want to provide more evidence that you actually sell hardware. And it's not about selling EMM licenses, Phil, just to reiterate, selling hardware. So if you sell Pixel devices, or you sell, Nokia, or you sell Samsung devices, these will all now support zero touch. You need to provide evidence that you're selling hardware, not selling EMMs. Good. So yeah, so certainly send an email, attach some evidence that you're a reseller for Panasonic and Honeywell, and yeah, certainly you can. They should approve you. Perhaps it didn't appear on your website that you sell hardware, and that's maybe why they didn't approve it. Infratech. Okay, there's a question there.
Might need to take that one offline.
Yeah, that's not really related to this call. It's more of a technical query, but yeah, like yeah, we can take that one offline. I think you're in particular. I think you've got my email address, so drop me a line directly with that question, and we can follow that one up. Hiramasa, good question there. Maybe our good friend Tomoka-san can respond to that question there, saying, are you going to run a similar session in Japan? Because I see no one joining my reseller partner who's also your reseller, zero touch reseller. Tomoka, do you want to take that?
You're up.
Hello?
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, so we don't have any plan to have similar sessions like this in Japan right now, but I can bring it up to the team and see if there is a demand for that. We will definitely consider doing sessions like this here in Japan as well.
Cool. Okay. We've got 2 minutes to go. Any opportunity there for a last minute question? Doesn't sound like it. All right, everyone, stay safe with COVID. Have a good weekend, and thank you all for joining. And if you've still got more questions, or you want to have some of your reseller partners join, please have them join on next week. This will be the same meeting ID next week. That's in your calendar. And yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Andre. Thanks, Tomoka.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Gerard. Thanks, Nikki. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend,
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye.
I'll follow up on that one with you, Javier.